The first thing I noticed wasn't the silence. It was the impossible beauty of the island that mocked our fear. The ocean sparkled beneath the morning sun as if nothing terrible had happened. White sand stretched for miles, palm trees danced in the warm breeze, and colorful birds sang overhead. Yet our boat had disappeared beneath the waves just hours earlier, leaving two strangers stranded with no radio, no phone signal, and no certainty that anyone even knew where we were. Standing 20 feet away from me, drenched from the storm, was a woman whose trembling eyes carried more secrets than the endless sea surrounding us. Before sunset, she would whisper words that would change both our lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, second chances, and unexpected human connections can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Legacy. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them most. My name was Adrian Mercer, a 34-year-old marine mechanic who had spent most of his adult life fixing boats instead of chasing dreams. Life had taught me to expect disappointment quietly. My parents had died when I was young, relationships had slipped through my fingers because work always came first, and I had become the kind of man who believed that loneliness was simply easier than heartbreak. The island didn't know any of that. Nature didn't care about broken people. It simply demanded survival. The woman introduced herself as Serena Vale. She looked elegant even after surviving the wreck, wearing a soaked white dress that clung to her shoulders, her long chestnut hair tangled by rain and sea salt. She appeared calm on the outside, but her hands shook every few seconds. I could tell she was fighting panic with every breath. Our first priority was obvious. We needed fresh water, shelter, and fire before another storm arrived. The tropical sun was already drying our clothes, but the clouds gathering on the horizon reminded us that paradise could become dangerous without warning. We searched together through the island during the bright afternoon. Coconut trees provided food. A narrow freshwater stream flowed through the center of the island. An abandoned wooden fishing hut stood near the beach, damaged but still strong enough to protect us from the weather. Every small discovery felt like winning a battle. Still, the silence between us remained heavy. By the second day, we settled into a strange rhythm. I repaired the broken roof using fallen branches while Serena gathered fruit and cleaned the shelter. Neither of us complained. Neither of us asked too many questions. Survival gave us purpose. The mornings became almost beautiful. Golden sunlight poured through the palm leaves while waves rolled gently onto the beach. Tiny crabs hurried across the sand. Bright parrots flew overhead. For a few hours each day, it almost felt like we had escaped the world instead of being trapped by it. But every evening, Serena would walk alone to the shoreline. She stared across the endless horizon as though waiting for someone who would never come. One afternoon I finally asked what she was looking for. She smiled sadly. Not rescue, forgiveness. That single word carried enough pain to silence every question I had prepared. Days turned into a week. We built fishing traps from vines. I crafted simple tools from driftwood and broken shells. Serena surprised me with her determination. Although she admitted she had never camped a single day in her life, she learned everything without complaint. Blisters covered her hands. Sunlight darkened her skin. Yet every morning she worked harder than the day before. One evening, while sitting beside our fire beneath a sky filled with brilliant stars, she finally told me the truth. She had once built one of the largest fashion companies in the country. Money had come easily. Love had not. She married a man who loved her success more than her heart. When the business began struggling, he disappeared with investors' money and left Serena carrying the blame. Although she eventually cleared her name, public humiliation destroyed her confidence. The vacation that ended in our shipwreck had been her attempt to disappear from the world for a while. Listening to her story, I realized something. She wasn't running from people. She was running from herself. The next morning, we spotted a cargo ship far beyond the reef. We screamed. We waved burning branches. We climbed onto rocks. The ship continued forward without changing course. Watching it disappear beyond the horizon broke something inside both of us. That evening Serena cried for the first time. Not loudly, not dramatically. She simply sat on the beach while tears rolled silently down her face. Without thinking, I placed my old jacket around her shoulders. She looked at me with exhausted eyes. No one had shown her simple kindness in years. The following days became different. We laughed more. We shared stories from childhood. She admitted she couldn't cook, so my terrible fish stew became our daily joke. She teased me for talking to the birds whenever I repaired something. I teased her because she insisted every coconut looked different. Somewhere between survival and friendship, loneliness quietly disappeared. Then another storm arrived, the strongest yet. Rain pounded the island throughout the afternoon. Wind tore branches from trees. Waves crashed against the shore with terrifying force. Inside the small wooden hut, lightning flashed through broken windows while thunder shook the walls. For the first time since arriving, Serena looked genuinely afraid. She whispered that she hated storms because the worst night of her life had happened during one. Hours passed. The storm refused to end. She sat quietly beside the doorway watching rain pour from the roof. Then she looked toward me. Her voice barely rose above the sound of falling water. She said she was tired of pretending to be strong. She said money had never protected her from loneliness. She said people admired successful women but rarely loved them simply for being human. Finally, with tears in her eyes, she spoke the words I would never forget. "I'm just a woman, and you're what I want." For several seconds, the storm seemed quieter than my heartbeat. I wasn't shocked because she cared about me. I was shocked because someone who had everything believed I was enough. I reached for her hand. Not because I had all the answers. Not because I knew whether rescue would ever come. But because kindness had slowly grown into something neither of us expected. We sat together while rain continued falling outside. No promises, no impossible declarations, only two wounded people choosing not to face tomorrow alone. The storm finally passed during sunrise. Golden light spread across the beach like a blessing. The island looked cleaner than ever. As we walked along the shore that morning, we discovered something unbelievable. Pieces of metal and plastic had washed onto the sand from our destroyed boat. Among them was the emergency beacon. Damaged, rusty, but not completely destroyed. For 3 exhausting days I worked without stopping. Using scraps of wire, batteries from an emergency flashlight, and every skill I had learned repairing engines, I slowly rebuilt enough of the beacon to send a weak distress signal. Neither of us expected it to work. Yet on the 4th morning, a helicopter appeared. At first we thought it was another illusion. Then it circled, lower, closer. The rescue crew had detected our emergency transmission. When the helicopter landed, relief flooded through every part of my body. We were finally going home. Or so we thought. Back in civilization everything felt different. Television reporters surrounded Serena. News channels called her miraculous survival one of the year's most incredible rescue stories. People suddenly remembered the successful businesswoman they had forgotten. But Serena surprised everyone. Instead of returning immediately to her company, she held a press conference. Standing before hundreds of cameras, she thanked the rescue team. Then she thanked the man who had saved her life every single day on that island. She looked directly toward me. She said survival wasn't about strength. It was about kindness. She announced she was donating much of her fortune to create emergency shelters, ocean rescue programs, and scholarships for children who had lost parents. The audience applauded. I stood quietly in the back. Later that evening, she found me sitting near the harbor where we had first met. She smiled exactly the way she had smiled while watching sunrise on the island. Peacefully, she asked if I planned to return to fixing boats. I nodded. She laughed softly. Then she asked whether I would consider helping build something much bigger than boats. She wanted to build hope. Together. Months later, we stood on another beach. This time there was no storm. No fear, only sunlight dancing across calm waves. Children played near a rescue training center that now carried both our names. Volunteers prepared emergency supplies. Families smiled. Lives were already being changed because two strangers had once refused to stop believing in each other. Sometimes people ask whether falling in love on a deserted island was unrealistic. I always smile, because love didn't begin when she confessed her feelings. It began every time we chose kindness over fear. Every time we shared food. Every time we protected each other. Every time we reminded one another that broken people still deserve to be loved. Perhaps that's what survival really means. Not escaping danger, but finding someone who reminds you that life is still worth living. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy. Your support allows more inspiring stories of compassion and second chances to reach people around the world. Star special request. Comment below with the words, "Kindness always finds a way," if you believe one act of compassion can completely change someone's life. Because sometimes the greatest rescue isn't the helicopter that carries us home. Sometimes it's the person who helps us believe we were never beyond saving.